Hey listeners, it's Kara, your host. After 176 amazing episodes and hundreds of book recommendations, I wanted to make it a little bit easier for you to find your next great read. The Bookish Lights Roadmap is your guide to all 175 podcast episodes, sorted by genre so you can quickly find the stories that fit your reading mood. From picture books to adult novels and everything in between, it's the perfect way to explore past episodes and discover new favorites. You can find your copy of the Bookish Lights Roadmap at www.bookishlights.com/read/roadmap, or just click the link in the show notes. Hi, I'm Kara Infante, and this is Bookish Flights, a podcast where we tell our stories through our favorite books. Each episode features a bookish guest where we will talk about reading, life, and the seasons we're in, all through a thoughtfully paired book flight of recommendations for you. If you're looking for meaningful book recommendations and a space to slow down, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Bookish Flights BFF Book Club. I'm so glad you're here. Tonight we're discussing The Life She Forgot by Joanna Davidson Politano. It's a beautiful layered story about memory, identity, healing, and the ways our past shapes who we become. You might remember her from back on episode 143. We are so excited to have Joanna join us tonight. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here.
Yes, I had so much fun chatting with you back on episode 143. So when you reached back out, I was like, yes, I would love to chat again about your new book.
Oh, yes, I remember that conversation. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. So for listeners that maybe are tuning in and have not read The Life She Forgot yet, let's give them a little bit of background about the book and tell them about it.
Sure. Well, this is a dual timeline story. The main story is 1913, about a woman who has lost her memories for the last 3 years. She can't remember what happened before that, so she gives up on getting them back, and she gets married. And as she's getting married, it triggers memories of her other wedding and her other husband from before she lost her memories. And so she has to kind of figure out, she has to piece together what became of her past and who she is. So she and her new husband travel along the Cornish coast, which is very beautiful, and try to kind of recollect all the pieces of who she was, both broken and whole pieces, and to form a full picture. And she has to try to figure out how to reconcile the person she's become with the person that she left behind. So the other timeline is basically someone who is hiding out from the war. He has PTSD, and this is post World War II. And he has found a painting of the heroine from the first timeline by, he thinks, a famous artist, but he needs to verify in order to sell it. He needs to verify that it was painted by this artist. So he's trying to trace her story and find her and figure out what happened.
Yeah. I felt like I went on a trip in this book, which is one of my favorite things about reading is I can travel from my couch when I can't travel in real life. And it felt like I was so immersed in the setting of this story, and I loved that bit of it.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's fun to travel a little bit through fiction. I actually went with my daughter and my dad to Cornwall to research this whole
Okay.
series. And so it was very, very atmospheric to come back and write it.
Yeah. Okay, so you just said series. Is this going to be a part of a series?
Yes, it is. This is the first time I've
Oh,
ever written a series,
okay.
and I'm super excited. It revolves around the house that the heroine is trying to, like, that she goes back and all of her memories are there. And
Okay.
it's this house built into the side of a cliff in Cornwall. And so the other books in the series are about all the different owners through time who have come to this
Okay.
house and the stories that they have brought. And um, each one is completely independent, but it tells, like, it's got a whole tapestry of a story of this house. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty excited. Book two should be coming out this fall.
Okay. So that's what one of my questions down the line was going to be on, are you working on any upcoming projects? So it sounds like that's it, which is
Yeah.
so
Yes.
exciting. So we can travel more to Cornwall.
Yes. Lots of travels.
Yeah, and then you're going to give us Wanderlust that we actually want to go there, you know, that we need to go there because now we've read all these books set there.
Oh, it's not hard to tempt people to travel to Cornwall. It's so beautiful there.
Yeah. So when you write dual timeline, do you write one and then the other, or are you writing them simultaneously going back and forth?
Well, this is the first time I've ever done this. So for this particular book, I just wrote them as they came. They played off of each other.
Okay.
So I wrote several chapters for Mirren in 1913, and then it raised I raised a question that was answered in the later timeline, and then I'd kind of switch back and forth. The 1948 timeline had a question where he couldn't figure out some little part of Mirren's story, so then we flipped back to that part of her story, and yeah, it just kind of evolved.
I'm having a moment because I read this quite a few months ago, right? To pick this for book club, and I read enough. I'm like, is this yours? Where it ended, it would end in one chapter where they were doing, and then you'd start it in the next chapter. They were doing something similar, even though it was in the other timeline.
Yeah,
I loved that.
I had the same sentence that
That's
it
what it
end with
was.
her saying something, and then he'd be saying the same thing or the opposite. You know, memories are the salvation or memories are the danger.
Yeah.
And it would flip-flop. And so they'd both be going through, because they're both going through memory things. She was trying to recover her memories and a little bit afraid of them, but desperately needed them to reconstruct her life. And he was running from memories. He had PTSD from the war. And so he did not want to remember the things that he had done in the war. And then the way things had been left with his wife, he was estranged from her and he just didn't want to revisit those things. So they both kind of had a different take on memories.
Yeah. And I obviously didn't catch it right away. But then as it kept going on, I was like, oh, this is really clever. I'm really loving this because I knew I would turn the page and I would find the next sentence would flow so well and be, I'm like, but it's even a different timeline. It was so clever. I really loved that way of storytelling.
Well, thank you. That was really fun to do.
Yeah. Did you find one timeline harder to write than the other?
Um, I think both of the characters were so strong in my head that they were pretty easy to write. The guy with PTSD actually came pretty easily. I don't know why, but I
Interesting.
felt his angst because he loves his wife so desperately that he calls her just to hear her voice on the other end of the phone and he doesn't say anything. He just loves her so much, and I just loved writing him. I loved seeing what would unspool in his mind and what he would do. But then everything with Marin in the other timeline was just so propulsive. I just was like, what in the world is going to happen now? Like, how do you
Yeah.
do this with like having two different husbands, basically? Like, what's going to happen here? And it was just both of them were very fun.
Yeah. And even you bringing up when you were talking about what the book was about, I remember feeling for her so much of just giving up hope that you're ever going to recover your past life and then just trudging forward because eventually you just have to choose to move on, right?
Hmm.
But how frustrating that must have been for her to not be able to figure it out either.
Yeah, I think for her, she felt really naive and stupid because our wisdom is like an accumulated like story that we tell ourselves of things that, if we made a mistake in the past, we tell ourselves that went badly before, don't do that again.
Hmm.
And she doesn't have any of that. So she feels sort of out in the cold and just making it up as she goes, and that's very hard for her. So I think that, and then also just having this whole life that she's accountable for. If she made a commitment to somebody in the past,
Yeah.
she can't then go make the same commitment to somebody else now. So I think she feels a little bit stranded without her memories and without her whole past.
Yeah. Yeah, that and that bit of like, well, what if I run into someone from my past when I'm out? I don't know.
Yeah.
You have literally no idea.
That would make it very hard, especially if they knew her and she had no idea.
Yeah. So these themes of memory and identity, was there something that drew you to wanting to tell the story this way or to those themes?
Um, I don't know that there's anything in particular. I do remember when my grandfather was at the end of his life. He got so confused about details. He thought my grandma was playing in the Chicago Cubs as one of the players and stuff like that. And a lot of those big details he just couldn't remember, but he knew exactly. His wife had died just a few months prior, and so he knew exactly their marriage and who she was to him and how she made him feel. Even if he didn't remember any of the details, he still
Yeah.
knew, like that essence was still there. I watched a similar thing happen with my in-laws. My mother-in-law died of Parkinson's, and just watching her call out for her husband regularly by name. She
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on around her. She didn't know any of her grandkids, but she would just call her husband's name because she knew, even though she didn't really know what was going on, she knew that she was safe there with
Yeah.
him. And so that struck me as like there's something that we retain. There's something visceral that we retain, even if the details fall away. Even with Alzheimer's or dementia or things like that, there are some things that are still there.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of what drew me into it.
Yeah. Just so embedded in our soul, which is beautiful. There's something
Mhm.
beautiful about that. Well, what is your wish for readers? If they haven't picked the book up yet, what is your wish for them? What do you hope they'll take away?
I think what I really hope readers will take away is a view of a love story as opposed to a romance, and just really evaluating what it takes to love somebody, as opposed to just falling in love with them, having chemistry and having the romantic feelings. What does it really mean to love somebody well? And what does it mean to commit yourself to somebody in marriage and things like that? So I really kind of picked it apart and looked at it from the lens of, watching newlyweds, watching people lose a spouse and the dementia, everything like that. Just looking at it from a holistic perspective. What does it look like
Yeah.
after the butterflies? Romance is kind of explaining how they fell in love, but I think that the love story is more like why they stayed,
Yeah.
why they still love the person.
Yeah. Was there a particular character or part of the story that surprised you as you were writing it?
I think that the hero in the 1913 timeline surprised me quite a bit because, well, I guess there's two heroes, but one of them started out with as being somebody that I wasn't sure who he was or what he was like, and I wasn't sure if I would like him. And then as he evolved and I saw why he did the things he did and I kept asking him questions, I was so impressed by him. I know that sounds so silly because he's fictional,
Yeah.
but I was just so impressed by what he said about love.
Because as even as you said, the way Marin's character and they all developed for you as you're writing. Like you don't exactly know where you're going, right, with the characters or
Mhm.
how they're going to develop for you. So I just love that you get to be surprised on the other end as well.
That makes it a lot more fun.
So I remember something that you had told me from our conversation, our previous conversation, where you send your book out to a couple of readers, and if they guess the ending, you change it.
Yes, you have a really good memory. That was
Oh, well,
that's
because no
impressive.
one else has ever said that on the show, so it just stuck with me about you.
Yeah, I have a few ways that I try to make my books unguessable just because I like to be surprised.
Hmm.
And as a writer, I even like to be surprised. But yeah, I send it out to not writers, but to other readers. And
Okay.
I send about 70% of the book and I say, how does this end?
Oh
And they
yeah,
give
that's what it
me,
was.
five, six, seven endings. And if any of them are near what I came up with, I toss it and we start over.
Yeah.
And it works really well. And I don't know, I usually have an endpoint in mind. I have what the twist is going to be when I start. And then I make sure that I'm wrong by the time I get there. I didn't start out like meaning for that to happen, but it was a very effective. It's just the coolest feeling when the pieces come together and the puzzle is a different picture than you thought it was, but the pieces fit. Like they go together and you're like, "Oh, that's what was happening all along."
Yeah. I'm smarter than
And
I think.
yeah. Sometimes I think that, I have to recut some pieces to fit and it's not quite the right picture. But then everything shifts. So it's pretty fun to write that way.
Yeah. Are you ever worried it might not get there?
Oh, every time. Every time. I've written 10 books now. And every time I'm talking to my friends and just going, this one isn't gonna work. I've done it before, but this time I'm falling off a cliff. With my stories falling off a cliff. I can't, it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm not going to be able to come up with an ending. And somehow it just happens
Yeah.
every single time.
You just have to trust that it will get there.
Yeah, it's a process for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, you are also a really busy, I mean, you're a homeschooling mom. You're also a reader. How do you fit writing and reading into your busy life?
That's shifting a little bit right now. I
Okay.
started writing when my newborn daughter was like taking naps all afternoon, and I didn't know what to do with my brain. I had just quit my job like as I had her basically as I went to have her. And so I
Yeah.
didn't know once I was home all day, like, what do you do when the baby's sleeping? I can only
Mm-hmm.
do so many dishes. So like I just had this scene that was playing through my head and I was like, well, let's just play it out for fun. I had decided not to continue trying to get published at that point. I just let's just play it out for fun. And it just unspooled into a story that became my debut novel. So I became a naptime novelist and I
I
had
love it.
two kids. Oh, it was so much fun because you're immersed in kid life. And this is something that you can do with your brain that's a little bit more grown up
Yeah.
and, thought-provoking and deep. So I would write during my kids' nap times. Now I have three kids. My baby is 4, does not believe in naps. He's allergic to them. And so I'm kind of, it's a shifting, my expectations are very loose.
Hmm.
And I write when I write, and sometimes that's in the evenings when they're in bed. Sometimes it's the morning before they get up. When we start up the school year next year, because we homeschool, I am going to be doing like a quiet time where they are required to sit and read for
Yeah.
a little while, and that will probably be my writing time. But for some reason, stories just keep spooling in my head
Yeah.
as I'm doing the dishes, as we're walking with the dog, things like that. And I talk to my kids and tell them stories all the time. Like we just, walking down the road, we'll popcorn and telling stories. And so there's always just stories brewing in the background. And then so when I do get to sit down, it pours out usually fairly effectively.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what writing is going to look like in the future, but for the moment, I kind of just balance it day by day and see where it fits.
Yeah. You bring up a great point. I think especially for if you're a newer mom listening to this show, because there is a moment you realize of I need a bit of me again, right? You give yourself wholeheartedly to your
Hmm.
children, and that is a great thing. But you reach this moment of, well, I need to use my brain too, like as an adult, and
Yes.
find what that is for me. And that's actually where this podcast came out of 4 years ago. Was very similar circumstances for me as my husband. I don't know if I told you this before, so if I did, I apologize. But he was on a 7 month
Just a little
deployment.
bit.
Yeah, it was 2021, and I had a 5 year old, a 2 year old, and a 3 month old. And late
Wow.
2020, it wasn't like our family could get out here that easily. And so I just, in the evenings when I would be pacing the hallways between all the rooms trying to get all the kids to bed solo, I just started dreaming about what could I do? Like when he comes home, what can I do for me? And not in a selfish way, but just to kind of use my brain. And once I'd kind of got on this idea of a podcast and I was going to do it on books and read, it just, my brain just got to go with that. And I had something to dream about and something to have a goal for. But it was completely flexible
Mhm.
to be a mom. And I think that, if you can find something that just really gets your brain going in a great way, right? A creative or feels a fulfilling type of way, I think that really unlocks something for you in motherhood that initially we just dump
Yeah.
everything into our children and forget about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that story though. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think for me, I had to start looking at writing not as like a hobby or as a self-indulgence or as even self-care, but it was like a spiritual practice. It was something that was necessary, the way coffee is necessary for some people. It was necessary for my soul. And we're created to be creative.
Yeah.
And so I can't stop being creative. I just have to find the margin for it to belong.
Yeah.
And so once I found that margin, it happened about every day. I can't always expect it to look the same way, but I'm such a better mom for it. It's it's just something that makes my heart more well-rounded. And so when I go to be a mom, I can be fully present because I've gotten that creative outlet and I was fully present when I did that. Then I can set that aside and be fully present as a mom without that angst of I wish,
Yeah.
I've got this other part of me buried. And then when I get to enter into that writing, it's soul food, it's deep and it's nourishing and it's just I get that exploration and things like that that keeps my brain alive.
Yeah. And then you go to the
So
mundane
it
tasks,
was
right? Of like you said, the dishes and the laundry.
right.
And then you're kind of dreaming or in your head, you're doing your stories, right? And me, I'm like thinking about what we could do for the
Mhm.
podcast. So whatever that avenue is, it gives you that little bit of to take you away from like folding my third basket of laundry today or whatever it is. Where just really
Yes.
helps stoke that fire a little
Yeah.
bit in you.
Yes. I think a lot of times we get this sense that we're made for more, especially we're in the throes of the busy motherhood life or, busy working life or something like that. And so this is just that extra layer of something that's going on under the surface.
Yeah.
And it's very, very beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it's important for your kids to see you have something too. I always think about when I go grab my book, I'm modeling the behavior, right? Versus I mean, don't get me wrong, I
Yes.
can grab my phone too, but just them seeing that action and you modeling that behavior, then they're gonna probably pick up a book when they're bored or they're seeing you do it.
Yes. That's actually one thing that I'm super excited about with my kids is they're not real big technology kids
I love it.
because they see me like we tell stories and we, think together and things like that. And like you said, you model it. Like they see me reading a book all the
Yeah.
time. And they've come to book events with me and they've met other authors. So they're just immersed in that. And my youngest doesn't read yet, but
Yeah.
generally there's a lot of reading going on in this house. And I love that. That's part of our family culture.
Yeah. Yeah. So your youngest will see that and jump right in when they're ready.
Hopefully. Yeah, he's going to be learning to read this year. He's going to be starting kindergarten.
Yeah, it's so
So,
fun. I got to teach through homeschooling all of my kids to read. Now, my youngest is now reading.
yeah.
He just turned 6, but he is now reading, and I'm like, I've got to do that. That was just so wonderful. I got to teach them how to read, which is
Yeah.
my favorite hobby. So I got to teach them that.
That's a wonderful thing to hand to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only other thing, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think it's important to have something that you don't also feel like you need to make money at doing, right? Or like you kind of
Mhm.
said, you're right, not self-indulgent. It's not that, but that's something that you can spend your time on, and that's okay to spend your time on that. Because
Mhm.
I think there's also that guilt that sometimes we're like, oh, the to-do list is calling your name, but it's okay to do a little bit of something for you in there too.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else.
Yeah.
So when I say yes to writing, sometimes I say no to like doing a quick cleanup of my family room floor or, mopping in my kitchen or, dusting my piano or, things like that that get backburnered indefinitely.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a choice, and my kids see me making a choice all the time. I think we're often thrown into this situation where we have to prioritize. We have to
Yeah.
know our heart.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we have to look at, is creating for an hour more important than a clean piano?
Yeah.
Can the dishes sit for another hour? Is
Yeah.
that okay? And so we're constantly called to prioritize and to acknowledge what's important to our hearts.
Yeah.
And sometimes that gets to be creativity.
Absolutely. I ask all of our guests to bring 3 books in the form of a book flight. So, can you tell us what book you brought today or books?
Okay, so I will tell you the 3 books that I have most currently read. The first one is the one I'm currently reading. It's The Splendor Falls by Susanna Kearsley.
Okay.
One that I have recently read and helped edit was This Promise Remains by Darcy Schock.
Okay.
And she's a new author with a really good book.
I love
And
it.
one
Okay.
that I'm about to read is Jamie Jo Wright in the Bookshop of 99 Doors.
Oh, I've already read it. It was so good.
Oh, good. Don't tell me anything.
It's wonderful. Every
Good.
time she writes another book, I think, "Ah, there's never a Jamie Jo Wright book that I don't love, and like what I don't even know how I would, make an order of I loved this one more than that one. Like she does it so well every time.
She's so unique.
Yeah. Well, really quick, I'm going to ask you can you tell us what the genres are in case any of those titles intrigued any of the listeners?
Yes. So Susanna Kearsley writes split time, and sometimes, I don't know, I haven't gotten too far into this book yet, so I
Okay.
can't say for sure, but sometimes she writes a little bit of a paranormal element, which,
Ooh, fun.
yeah, so it's a little
Okay.
different. Jamie Jo writes, oh, I don't know, would you call it like thriller, suspense, kind of
Yeah,
gothic.
gothic. Yeah. I usually
Um,
think, yeah, like a gothic suspense. Yeah, because there's actually paranormal in that one too.
there is,
Yeah.
but very, it's dealt with so well from what I
Yeah,
have heard from my friends. Like it's
absolutely.
actually explained and talked about.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see. Yeah, I was actually teasing Jamie Jo because every single one of her books starts like the first sentence has the word death in it. Every single one of her books. She has something interesting to say about death, and
Yeah.
it's meaningful, and there's always light involved too. Um,
Yeah, I've definitely seen posted in some of the Facebook groups, where people chatter about books and how scary are Jamie Jo's books. And I agree. She handles it so well that I know that she
yes,
will be safeguarding my heart as I'm reading it, even if I'm a bit
yes,
scared.
yep, absolutely. She describes herself as like a Scooby-Doo mystery writer. Like there's always an explanation for the ghosts.
Ooh, I haven't heard that, but I
So,
love
and
it.
yeah, it's very fitting.
Yeah.
So the last one is Darcy Schock, who wrote, I think This Promise Remains is the name of it. It's her debut novel, and it's
Okay.
based on her grandparents' love story.
Oh,
It's
okay.
during World War II, and it's so beautifully done. It's a wonderful book. It's very unusual. I'm not sure if I wouldn't classify it as romance. It's a little bit like my book that we're discussing, where it's more of a love story,
Okay.
but very well done.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing those with us and letting me dig a little bit more because I'm like, some of those titles even intrigued me that I want to go pick them up. Well,
Yeah.
how I love to end our show is with a speed round of questions you can answer really quick. Where
Okay.
is your favorite place to read?
My hammock.
Love it. What is one book you read that has changed your life?
Ooh. Hmm. Can I give you a stack of them?
Yeah. Just one.
I don't
What's the
know.
first one that comes to mind?
Oh, I would say Christy Cambron's books, the World
Mm,
War II,
yes.
her debut books.
Yes. Perfect. Are you a rereader?
Yes, because if the ending surprised me, then I have to go read the whole book in the new context.
Yeah. Were you a childhood reader? It sounds like you were.
I was a childhood writer. I didn't really feel
Oh, I love
comfortable
that.
reading long books until I was a little older. But
Okay.
I used to, starting in second grade, I used to write stories about my classmates and get in trouble.
I actually feel like now that you bring that up again, I remember that from our previous episode, you talking about maybe your first story.
Yes, we probably have, because
Yeah.
I often talk about how I started.
Yeah. Well, let's do this then, because I feel like you probably read aloud as a family. What's one of your favorite family read alouds?
The Hobbit has been really fun.
Mm,
Doing the voices,
yeah,
everything like that is really fun.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us for book club tonight. I so appreciate all the time you've given us.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today of the BFF Book Club with Joanna Davidson Politano to discuss the life she forgot. We will be taking a summer break, but we will be resuming our next book club on August 24th at 5 p.m. Pacific Time with Spies, Lies, and Alibis by Natalie Walters. This romantic suspense novel is packed with danger, secrets, second chances, and plenty of twists. Natalie will be joining us for the live author conversation at the end of August, so if you'd like to join us, register at the link in the show notes at bookishflights.com. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. As Emma Thompson said, I think books are like people in the sense that they'll turn up in your life when you most need them. Cheers to you, dear readers. Until next time.